Most beginners have no idea how to estimate commercial painting jobs. So in this video, I'm going to show you a live demo of how to estimate this commercial building right here. Use a simple spreadsheet to track all your numbers and how to verify your numbers are right every time so you don't have to guess your prices. To start, I have to show you the number one mistake every beginner makes when they first start estimating commercial painting jobs. All right, mistake number one is bidding strictly with square footage. So all the square footage is if I was to take this building here, this section, and I was to measure the length and the height, that would give me the total square footage that we're gonna paint this building. But I can't do that on every commercial painting project. If I just strictly bid with square footage, here's where the problem lies, is this section right here. You can see there's all this paint that's come off here. So if I just bid strictly by square footage, I would get this bid wrong because it's gonna take extra time to do work here. I gotta scrape this up. I gotta basically kind of smooth it down. So I'm gonna have to sand it lightly. And then since it's bare concrete, I need to prime it and then paint. So that's almost twice as much work here versus here on square footage. So when it comes to estimating commercial painting jobs, you can't just bid by square footage. You have to also include how long the project's gonna take. All right, mistake number two is showing up to meet the commercial client. You're gonna do a job walk with them. I see guys do this a lot, where they show up, basically their hands are in their pocket and they go to meet the commercial client. And that's the mistake, because you actually need some tools to make sure that you look professional. And so I got my tools right here. Just wanna show you what I use and what we're gonna use to bid this commercial painting job. And the first part is you're gonna need a good measuring tool. So you just turn it on, and then it calculates how much feet you are going as you move forward, and it records it just with the simple measuring wheel. So that's the first tool. Doing a lot of commercial painting bids, you're gonna need some good steel toe shoes. Just as you're walking around commercial buildings, especially or construction sites, some facilities that you get on actually require you, and they're gonna tell you this before, hey, make sure you bring steel toe shoes. So this is always good to have. And then of course, orange vest. I wear that all the time. But a lot of facilities will require you to have this. And then I'm a hard hat. I don't use this one as much. It's not a requirement, it's just kind of a bonus, where I've had a few people say, hey, make sure you bring a hard hat, and you just look a lot more professional. And the last one is you're gonna need a tablet or a phone. And this is one, you're gonna be using your exterior bidding calculator, so that you can record all these measurements in the right way so you can keep track of everything, as well as you're going to need a camera to take pictures of the commercial building so that you can show the client when you're all done, show them exactly what you found. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show up to the job to bid this commercial painting job. So we show up, we park, and we meet the client. That's our first interaction with the client. So we want to make sure that, we do it professionally. We shake their hand and tell them it's nice to meet you. And then we're gonna walk up to the building with them and we're gonna ask them, what are you trying to get done here? What exactly do you want done? So let's go take a look at this, and we're gonna walk you through just like we would when the commercial client comes up. We meet with them, we're gonna meet them at the building. They point up to the building and they're saying, okay, I want this building here painted. The paint's faded. I just need a bid on this. So what I'm gonna do is say, okay, great. And what I always do when I'm inspecting a commercial building, first off, what I do before I show up is I actually have an AI system that I just upload a picture and it tells me kind of where to look. But since we're here, I'm going to give you a live demo just so I can walk you through. But that AI tool I use all the time. You basically just want to start at the top of the building and work yourself down. So you always want to look up high and then work down slowly and see where there's some issues. Is there fading paint up there? Is anything fading up there? Okay, you see this line? Yeah, it's faded pretty well, so we need to definitely point that out to the commercial client. Then we're gonna work ourselves down. When we're looking at these panels, is there any spots, any paint that's bubbling? We wanna point that out. Even though the client may see it, we still wanna point it out that we see it and how we're gonna fix it. If there's a bunch of bubbling paint, we need to remove that, get it down back to the concrete surface so we can prime it and then paint it. We wanna fix that area and make sure we tell them that, so they know what we're gonna do throughout the project. And the more that we tell them we're doing, the higher trust that we're building, that we understand the process of what we're doing. You check our cracks here. You think we got some cracking going on, but that's perfectly normal. Nothing big where water intrusion is. There's nothing. Oh, I see something over here. Let's go check this out. All right, so just inspecting from the top down. If we check last part of here, so you can see this paint's coming right off. So that's easy to see that and point it out to the commercial clients so they understand what you're doing. Hey, we're going to take care of this. We want to take care of it because we don't want water to intrude and start breaking down concrete surfaces. All right, so we met with a commercial client. We identified the problems areas so that we can add that to our bid calculator, and then we're going to start getting measurements. And here's the thing, estimating really is only the first part of this entire process. And what you're going to want to do is go down in the link in the description where I have a full guide of how to start your commercial painting business, get your first client, and produce it in 30 days. And now it's time to measure this building. Typically what happens is once we meet with them and we show them problems, they take off. The first thing I always do is I get far away from the building and I take a wide shot of the building. And then that gives me an opportunity when I'm back there, I can see the top of the building and work myself down, because there may have been some things I didn't see or we just didn't have time to point out during the walkthrough. I can get that stuff then because I'm further away and I can see this building. Then we're going to get our measuring wheel and we're going to walk up close to the building. With this, you just simply turn it on. So hit the power, it comes on, and then you're just going to measure your feet. Going to open up the handle, and then you just start at one side of the wall, and then we're going to go down to the other end and we're going to stop. All right, so total feet is 54. So important to note that every commercial building, it's never built on odd numbers. It's always going to be even, so increments of 5 or 10. So if you ever higher or lower, you always just round up or round low accordingly. So this is just going to be 55 feet. That's normal. That's exactly what we want. And then the height. Now we're going to do the height for this one. I already know it's 2 stories. It's 20 feet tall. Obviously I can't reach all the way up. You're just going to know, again, increments of 10. You always have your first story is 10 feet, second story is 20 feet. All right, so here we have our bid calculator, and I just want to walk you through the top here. But basically at the top, you have all your company's information. So the place where you're going, their address, their email, project type. This one's going to be exterior painting. And then you put the date. And under here, we have basically work categories in this column where you have your walls, your soffits, windows, and it just keeps going from there. And then we have our quantity amounts. That's where we input our numbers that we just measured. Then we have our production rates. The production rate will change depending on your crew and how fast they are with production. But I'm going to walk you through a scenario here, and I'll input the numbers so you can get a better idea. And then it'll populate our labor hours here. Next column is our materials column. This is something that we're going to add because that's going to change depending on the type of paint we use as far as the price goes and the coverage amount of that paint. And when we input all that, it's going to give us our direct labor costs and our line total. So for this particular job, we measured out it's 50 feet length by 20 feet height, and that gives us 1,000 square feet. And I know my crew is going to basically do this production rate. It's units per hour. So that comes to $733. That's based on our labor rate. Our labor rate is $65 an hour. So I already have that inputted. But remember that we're not just bidding per square feet, that we're actually also got to include everything else. So we have our surface prep. I pointed out one area earlier, but I found another area as well. So our total for that is going to be 200 square feet of surface prep that they're going to have to do work on. And that's going to take them about an hour to do that. And so we put 200 right there. That's based on our 65-hour labor rate. So it's going to be the total of $65 an hour. Then on top of that, we have to pressure wash the building. So we're going to put in our total square footage to pressure wash. So we got to pressure wash 1,000 square feet. And I know my labor rate is going to be 1,000 square feet. It's going to take them about an hour to pressure wash this. That includes setting up ladders and hooking up the hose and pressure washing it. And then the last thing is you want to calculate is your materials. So for this job, we're going to be using a product called Super Paint from Sherwin-Williams, and the coverage for that is 200 square feet per gallon. So all we do is we take our total square footage for the job, 1,000, we divide it by 200, and that'll give us how many gallons we need, which is 5 total gallons for this project. And we're keeping the same color, so we're not changing the color. So if we were, I probably would add in another 2 gallons to make sure we get proper coverage. Then from there, we're going to add that in based on how much we're getting charged per gallon. So for me, it's $31 per gallon for this job. So we're just gonna add that in, and that brings the total to $155 for materials. Put that in this column here, and that brings our direct cost to $935. Remember, we're gonna be paying our subcontractors half of it. So that's 50% that we're essentially marking up. That's our profit. So we got to make sure we add that in every time. We'll bring the total to $1,870. And that's the price that I'm going to charge the commercial client. So the next step is to write up our bid proposal to give to the commercial client. This is where we're going to meet them for the second time. Once here at the project, then we're going to meet them again the second time, which is basically part of our sales process. We do not want to just email them the bid. So we're going to put this into a bid proposal. And I have a bid proposal already designed for you, actually everything you need to get up and started in 30 days. The link is down in the description. You sign up and I'll send you over my PDF that's going to walk you through the entire process. But for now, all we're going to do is get our bid proposal with our price, exactly what work we're going to be doing, the type of paint that we're going to be using, and we're going to jump on a call with the commercial client, and we're going to walk through every line of that proposal, make sure they don't have any questions, and to make sure we got everything that they need. And the objective here is, again, to build more trust with them. So when it comes down to bidding or estimating, they both mean the same thing on buildings like this. Just understand that it is going to take time. It's a skill that you're going to have to acquire. I'm to the point now where, like I said, I can look at this and know how tall it is, or I know how many gallons it's going to take to complete the project. So the way that you get better, obviously, is practice. The more that you do it, the better you're going to get. It is a skill that you're just gonna have to acquire over time. But the biggest part is never try and wing it. How you're gonna verify your numbers are right every time is that you use the bid calculator. It's gonna give you the right measurements and it's gonna do the right calculations for you. You just gotta plug in your length and your width, and it's gonna spit that number out. Also, your hourly rate that you're gonna charge, it's also gonna tell you how many gallons. So follow that. Don't just try and wing it, because that's where you're gonna mess up. You're either gonna bid too high and the client's gonna know it, or you're going to bid too low and you're going to lose money. But here's the thing. You're going to want to build this business the right way. Go watch this video where it's going to show you exactly how to start $120,000 a year commercial painting business. And you can do that all just as a solo operator. I hope it helps you, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.